What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You dead meat! Go ahead and laugh, you guys. If I ever find a little bastards that did this, they're dead meat.
Welcome to the Dead Meat Podcast, an extension of the YouTube channel Dead Meat. I'm James.
I'm Chelsea, and we're boyfriend and girlfriend, and we like to get scared together.
And watch Nazis get killed together.
Yeah.
And Overlord.
I just want to say, so I was visiting Michigan this past weekend, and when this episode comes out, because we're pre-recording this quite a bit in advance, but while I was in Michigan, Detroit had a pride parade. And wouldn't that have been nice if some fucking Nazis didn't decide to show up?
There were Nazis?
Full-blown Nazis. We're talking like swastikas and everything. They were out and proud at the pride parade. And so, you know what? I'm in a fucking mood to review a horror movie where we're just killing Nazis and not feeling ambiguous or bad about it.
What did our grandparents do that for?
I know. Yeah, there's no good people on both sides in this movie.
The Nazis are rotten sons of bitches. And rotten sons of bitches will do anything they have to destroy everything that is good in this world.
We're just bad
There's
and
good actors on both sides.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Because we got fucking Euron Greyjoy as Captain Nazi.
And I realized I have no idea how to pronounce his name.
Their names, like, European names that I'm not familiar
Danish.
with. Or Danish especially, I have a hard time with. That's got, like, a character in it that I don't even know. The A and the E that are, like, one conjoined twin kind of thing. Yeah. What, Pilo...
Esbeck?
I don't know. He's pretty
Yikes.
fucking good, though.
He's very good, yeah. So, yeah, Overlord. If you don't know what it is, it's a movie set the night before D-Day. And so going into this, all we knew was that it was a horror movie with Nazis.
I knew it was a war horror movie, which I'm not too well versed in.
It's
that weird
genre,
subgenre.
Because what else even fits?
The guy who did The Descent did Dog Soldiers.
Okay.
Which I have not seen. And then I think there are some other ones involving Nazis, like Dead Snow, and there's one where they're on the dark side of the moon. It's like Iron something.
Iron Sky.
Maybe. And those, I think, are probably more campy, which is what I expected this to be.
Right.
When I hear we're fighting Nazis in a war horror movie with like an alternate history and there's experimentations, I'm thinking it's going to be campy.
I was thinking it was going to be really campy too, which I wasn't in the mood for.
Oh.
Because I appreciate my share of camp, but sometimes it gets... It's like you get the joke and then it's not entertaining anymore.
If it's camp that's trying too hard to be camp,
yeah,
I don't like it.
But this movie takes itself seriously, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, it's very... good.
It's good.
Just like a well-made movie.
It's a solid movie. I was entertained the whole time.
Yeah.
Yep.
The cast is great. The story's suspenseful. I mean, it's not doing anything too new or crazy, but I don't think it needs to. It's fine.
Yeah. So it's directed by Julius Avery, who did Son of a Gun, which I know has Ewan McGregor in it. I forget who else is in it. And he also did Yardbird, which I heard was good. That came out a few years ago. Produced by J.J. Abrams, because we saw that Bad Robot logo in the opening, and Lindsay Weber. Screenplay, and this is interesting because we have two people who co-wrote this. We have Billy Ray, who did not Billy Ray Cyrus.
I'm gonna take my
which
gun
I remember
to the
when
Nazi front line.
because I think he was nominated for writing Captain Phillips, and people were confused.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he wrote Captain Phillips by
like
himself,
Captain
which we really
Phillips.
liked. We didn't expect to.
No, I did not, because we always watch all the Best Picture nominees. I think that was one we were like, all right, this is like eating our vegetables. Like, we have to watch it, But I enjoyed that movie a lot.
Kind of like the fucking Revenant. We were so into that movie.
Did you see the other co-writer?
No, did he write The Revenant?
Wrote The Revenant.
Wow,
he
really?
he co-wrote The Revenant.
So this movie was written by dudes who wrote Oscar movies we didn't expect to like, but actually loved.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Billy Ray also wrote Hunger Games, but
Co-wrote Hunger Games. Yeah.
Mark L. Smith wrote Joe Dante's The Hole, which I haven't seen. That came out in it was recent, kind of.
Oh, one of Dante's later works.
He co-wrote The Revenant, but he also co-wrote Martyrs, which is a movie I do not like.
We do not like
I don't like Martyrs.
We've only seen it the one time a number of years ago now, but we did not like it.
No. It felt that's a gratuitous movie if I've ever seen one. I just felt icky.
I'll probably give it another shot sometime soon,
Yeah.
but like I don't expect to like it.
But I love The Revenant. I will defend The Revenant. Because I think it's one that I mean, granted, it was up for so many awards. It's not like it needs defending, but I think it's one where a lot of people disliked it.
There was like a backlash.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that's a gorgeous movie. Lots of Game of Thrones actors in this, which was a pleasant surprise, considering the bad taste the series finale left in our mouths.
Yeah, we got what's his name?
Which one? There's many Game of Thrones actors.
Grey Worm's in here.
Yes, I have all of them written down. Jacob Anderson.
Yes.
Yes, Charlie Dawson.
My mama writes up cookbooks for the church back home. I figured I'd try it over here. All the stuff regular folks don't know.
In this movie, he has a heavy Southern accent. It's very good.
Yeah, they call him a hick. This
it's
British guy who we mostly known as playing a
very stoic
soldier with like a different accent.
Whose first language is not English. Do we want to just start going through the movie, or do you want to just talk about it more?
Sure, yeah, we can just start.
Because, we might as well, because Charlie at Grey Worm is right. He comes up right in the beginning. We kind of meet him right away. But we start. By the way, I love that we have a horror movie that starts with a Hitler speech. I just wrote, buckle up. But, that's how you know it's about to get crazy. We're starting with some audio of one of Hitler's speeches. We open with we're 101st Airborne in a plane heading towards Normandy.
And you knew a guy.
I do. I actually know a few veterans who were in the 101st, because my dad is a Vietnam veteran, so he does a lot of stuff with just war veterans in general. And it's funny because even though my dad's in his 70s now, but he is still I think he is still the little kid who helps old people across the street, even though he is now technically an old person.
Yeah.
But so he'll go and do things for these World War II veterans. And so there was one guy named Arno who was in 101st, and he was a paraglider, and he fought in Normandy and fucking paraglided down to that beach. Oh
my God.
I interviewed him about it. I haven't done anything with the video, but it was more I brought home my camera and just thought, I just want to have this somewhere for posterity kind of thing.
And he recently passed, right?
He did. He passed away a couple months ago. He was 96 or 97. So he lived to be really old. Last time I went home, I saw him, and me and my dad and him went and got ice cream. We got Superman ice cream because we're from Michigan. Very, very nice guy. Sad he passed, but again, he lived to be very old. But yeah, his story is incredible. And I know a few other veterans as well. I met through my dad. But so 101st, I was very excited to see they're in a plane, and war movies and war horror is so Dunkirk to me is a horror film, even though it's not meant to be.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Like something about war movies, because you're watching it in even something like this where the supernatural, there is supernatural stuff going on, or not supernatural, it's mad science,
super science,
yeah. It's heightened, it's not realistic, but the war aspects of it I think are very grounded, and I think it's to kind of provide that you need some of this to be really realistic for the other stuff to land, and for it not to feel super campy like we were talking about. And so war stuff in movies really freaks me out, I think, because what happened, and
it's the most distressed and disturbed I ever am watching movies, Saving Private, any war movie that I'm watching, where you just really get a feel for
even Jacob's Ladder, and that the war violence isn't even most of that movie, but in that movie those sequences are
anything that shows just how fleeting life is when it's just, war fucking sucks. And I think we've maybe said it before on the podcast, but it's just throwing your number of people after their number of people, and whoever has more number of people at the end wins. It's fucking bonkers. I cannot imagine being in the military. That's where it's oh, thanks, people who did this, because we needed it to happen.
I know.
Because what else are you going to do? I don't think I could do it.
No.
To make yourself just a number. There's a line early on so they're flying in, and their planes start getting shot at in the air. And you just see guys who were just hanging out, chatting a second ago, getting blown up in the plane. And the sergeant is yelling, "This is the job."
This is why we're here! This is the job!
That fucking aspect, I cannot imagine that, of just being like, I am a number. My job is to throw my body at this enemy. Maybe I'll live. Probably I won't.
Not, yeah.
And it's entirely up to chance if they happen to aim at me or not. Fuck
I know.
that.
That's why when
Fuck
talking
that.
to people like Arno, who in my experience with him is just a very nice old man, but like then asking him about his experiences and what he went through, it's just like fucking, I couldn't even comprehend the stuff that he did.
Yeah.
And he's now just here talking to me, you know? It's, boy, crazy.
Man, it messes you up just watching it, and then to imagine being those people and having your friends who you're chatting with about, like, you're ribbing them about, like, oh, hope you don't fuck up, and then they fucking die, and that's it.
Where's Dawson? Where's Dawson?
There is no Dawson! Walk to me! On a line like you're on a fucking tightrope!
One thing I do love about war movies, though, is that character type of the gruff sergeant. I'm such a sucker for the sergeant who that probably comes from like a Full Metal Jacket, Arlie Ermy, that type of. But
Arlie Ermey's a
he's
dick.
mean.
He's an abusive dick.
Yeah, no, he sucks. But this guy, our sergeant, let's see, do I
Arlie
have his
Ermey's
name?
character to specify.
Oh yeah. Bokeem Woodbine as Sergeant Renson, who by the way is fucking fantastic in season 2 of Fargo.
Fuck
He's
yeah,
Mike Milligan, one of the best TV characters.
He's so
that's
good.
a good season. Of
I would
TV.
love to rewatch that.
But I love Sergeant Renson. As brief as his appearance is, unfortunately, that is such a favorite character type of mine. That sergeant who calls everyone ladies and is cracking jokes and stuff while the plane's getting shot up because he knows he has to do that to keep everyone.
Yeah, he's the one who
calm.
says this is the job. This is why you're here.
And he's he's scared shitless too, but. I don't know. There's it's him and like Brad Pitt in Inglourious Bastards, like that kind of just he's not taking your shit, but also he cares.
Didn't I tell you, ladies, I'd show you a good time?
Okay, so we meet our cast of characters in this plane. We have Boyce, who is our main character.
He's our main boy.
Yeah, who is played by Jovan Adepo, and he was in The Leftovers.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't either. I wonder if he
Where
was
he
only
was.
season 2. We watched that so long ago.
But he was in Fences.
He was the son in Fences, which was very good.
I mean, Fences is just acting.
Fences, oh God. I mean, the thing with Fences is I don't think it should have won any like best picture or anything because it's so very much like this is a play that we just filmed.
Yeah.
But also it's kind of cool because it does feel like you're watching a play. So if you want to watch some fucking actors just act and it's a movie that makes you kind of remember like, oh yeah, this is a craft and people need to study this and understand it in ways that so few people can. And he's great in that movie.
Yeah, you don't get cast in Fences without being
A
fucking
really good
phenomenal.
actor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Corporal Ford, who is like joining them, he had already fought in Italy. He's going to be the leader of the squad after. I mean, he ranks higher than the sergeant, but the sergeant says, listen to anything he says.
And he's the explosives expert, right?
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
That's his job, but he's played by Kurt Russell's son.
Yes, Wyatt
Russell, who lives in our neighborhood.
He does apparently. And also you might recognize him from that episode of Black Mirror. He's that guy who goes and does the play test where they put the little implant in him and he's in that creepy house. Oh. And he wakes up and it's like he was only out for like a second and he just...
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
That was
episode.
him.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, he's good. He's in like a few things. He's very good. He looks exactly like young Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
I was getting very, especially towards the end of this.
People run around with flamethrowers.
Yeah, definitely some classic Kurt Russell vibes. I definitely was reminded of The Thing and even Big Trouble and like Escape from New York, that kind of. Yeah, he definitely takes after Dad.
Use your rifle, light taps, not hard enough to set off a mine.
Exactly how hard is too hard?
You'll know.
There's some other privates. Tibbet, who is played by John Magaro. I don't know this guy, but he did so well in this movie.
He's in The Big Short. He is one of the two younger dudes that they go to short the stock market, and I think Brad Pitt helps them do it. Remember where they're like, oh, let's call Brad Pitt. And Brad Pitt kind of comes out of hiding to help them short the stock market.
Tibbet is like...
He's great.
He's so good. He has such a good character arc with the kid
and
that he's like annoyed by at first.
You ever like watch one of these movies and think like you were meant to play this role in a war movie?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's such the scrappy soldier who
like sarcastic
learns
and like...
to love and... reluctantly grows attached to someone. In this instance, it's this little kid. And I love this B plot in this. I was like really touched by it.
Yeah.
I thought it was sweet.
Chase, who is a photographer.
Oh, yeah.
He's walking around in this movie for a while. He's, a photographer. They call him Pretty Boy. He's taking lots of pictures. So you got that character who's like, not cut out for war, but here he is.
Gotta take those pictures.
There's another private Rosenfeld, who is, if you couldn't guess, Jewish. And so has a personal stake in, taking on these Nazis. He's on the plane and then disappears for a while. We find him a little bit later. And then finally there's, Grey Worm, who's Private Dawson. He's trying to write a book.
Oh,
sadly,
so
he dies
sweet.
real
fast. Yeah.
He's like the only one who's like the established characters who dies quickly and isn't in the rest of the movie.
Quick, yeah.
And it's kind of sad.
Which is sad. I literally right before he died was writing all these notes about how cute he was in this because he's talking about he's writing his book and he wants to put all their stories in his book and
then he steps on a mine.
He says the word pictures like pictures, which I love so much. And then he steps on a landmine and gets blown up.
They're on this plane. It gets shot down, and while it's going down, Boyce gets like thrown.
Good God, they are tossing these boys out of this plane.
And the shot of him falling through the air is so well done. And this was when
nice,
I wrote great use of CG.
Yeah, this movie does CGI well.
Yeah, sometimes it's like, oh, that's CG monster face, but like this instance when because it's one of those things where it's like the camera is attached to him looking at him.
Yeah,
and so it's
I always call that fear cam, and I forget why. Because Fear Cam, I think, was it a Requiem for a Dream? It was some movie where they did that first, and then it became like a thing.
Okay, but yes, the camera is like on him, stabilized on him as he's flying, like falling down through the air, and you just see all these explosions around behind him as he's trying to get his parachute open. It's very well done, very suspenseful.
Yeah,
and when that's happening, I felt like. I don't know what the budget for this movie was. I think it was like mid-budget.
Yeah, it couldn't have been a huge budget, right?
I don't think so because I don't think it had a huge release. I don't know. It feels like a
middle,
like an underground movie.
I was looking at how it did in the box office, and it did decent.
It made back its budget.
Yeah. So I call that a success. If you make back your budget, good job.
Well, it depends on all that Hollywood accounting.
I would like to see what the budget for this was because
I think it was $40 million. I saw
40 million. Okay, I was about to say like, oh, I wonder if this and Upgrade, yeah, it could be examples of like how to do something with no money, but this had a ton more money than Upgrade. God, Upgrade is impressive.
Yeah.
But
I mean, war movies are going to cost.
That's true.
Yeah. You need extras and locations
sets.
And the period stuff you need to do.
Oh,
you got to get like period piece vehicles.
And people who know what they're doing, putting that together.
Yeah. Got to pay them.
This is so he lands underwater and he crawls onto land, and this is when he sees the sergeant surrounded by Nazis and he gets shot. Then Boyce runs into the corporal, that's Ford.
Yeah, and Boyce is like, he goes to save the sergeant, but he's stopped by Ford, and that's going to be a recurring thing with Boyce, is that he wants to they have a mission. We didn't mention, their mission is to blow up a radio tower, which will allow for air support the following day during D-Day.
Right.
So they need to blow up this tower. They need to do it. And Boyce continually gets distracted trying to like save people, and Ford is the one who's in this being like, we have to do this mission. Sergeant knew he was gonna get killed probably, so we have to go on and do this mission.
Yeah, and I like, and I know, and I'm pretty sure that that's not a new thing in war movies.
Yeah, that's always.
It's always a thing, big picture versus saving someone in this moment. It's always this constant struggle, but I always appreciate it, especially if we're watching a movie where the bad guys are Nazis, and unless you're a shitheel. The Nazis are the bad guys. They're the ultimate bad guys, right?
Yeah, because when this movie started, you were like, I wonder why World War II is just like
endlessly fascinating.
Yeah, and it's because it's the clearest good guys versus bad guys.
Yeah, compare that to, I was saying, World War One. What are we all doing in World War One?
Or anything that came after, like Vietnam, where it's messy.
I guess Civil War is like the other one I could.
Yeah, but people are always,
I know, people are weird about it.
No.
Yeah, I think more generally, like culturally, World War II is so good versus
clearly, evil. The good guys weren't 100% good.
No.
Internment camps, I'm sure war crimes on both sides.
What the Russians did to the Germans after.
That too.
That's not good.
No.
Not great. But so yeah, I always appreciate when we're throwing in conflict like this on the side of good, because that is the kind of stuff you're dealing with when you're in it. It's like, what do you prioritize?
Mm-hmm.
I think both types of people, both types of good, like Boyce versus Ford, are important.
Yeah.
So I like their dynamic in this. I think they're an interesting relationship.
And yeah, again, it's a case of it's nothing new, but it's done well here.
It's done well, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, they group up with those survivors that we mentioned. They're walking around. Dawson gets blown up, so now it's down to the group that we'll be with for the movie, which is Ford, Boyce, Tibbet, and Chase. They end up finding a French girl, I think.
Yes, Chloe.
Chloe.
We learn her is her name later.
And, at first she pretends not to speak English. She doesn't know whether or not to trust them, but she eventually takes them to her village, which is where that radio tower is.
Ciel Blanc. That's when she says, I needed to make sure you weren't bad guys. Okay, I'll help all of you. So she sneaks them into her house, and
where she has a coughing aunt in a room upstairs.
Yeah.
And she's like, my aunt's sick, and later we'll come to find she was the subject of some Nazi experimentation.
Yeah, that scene where we hear this aunt coughing and she's behind a closed door, I got vibes of Wreck a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you're kind of set up thinking the aunt or these creatures, whatever the fuck's going on, are gonna be our bad
monsters.
They're the monsters of this movie. The aunt is not the villain of this film.
She's just a victim of Nazis.
Right, exactly.
Chloe also has a little brother. I don't know how old he is. Real young. 7 maybe.
Yeah,
named Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And he just wants to play baseball with the
he
American
does,
soldiers.
because all Americans love baseball.
Not Tibbet. He says something about like, get me some cards and
you have a pool stick.
Oh yeah, pool stick and $5.
Pool.
And
yeah, exactly.
then he'll be on.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tibbet's relationship with Paul is great.
I think Tibbet is telling this story about Boyce and how there was a mouse at their boot camp.
Yeah, in their barracks.
And he was ordered to kill it. But instead Boyce took it out into a field and like just dumped it there, and so this mouse kept coming back and like shitting all over everything because he wouldn't kill it. And then later Chloe says that she liked that story, and she says before the war she was studying to be a vet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what she wanted to do. That's how she speaks English. She was studying in London.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Boyce's grandma's from Haiti and moved to Louisiana, so he speaks French.
Oh, that's right. Boyce can speak French, so they can speak to each other in English and French. Right. Nobody else really speaks French.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they see that this village is, it's occupied. That neighbor of hers is a real Vichy going on there.
Oh yeah, because she sees, this is before she invites the guys to her home and says like, I'm gonna help you. Yeah, this lady sees Chloe outside and is like, you're out past curfew.
She like rings a bell, blows a whistle,
like her Nazi whistle, and like as a fucking snitch.
Yeah, fucking snitch. So yeah, they're in the attic of Chloe's house and they're trying to formulate a plan to get to that radio tower.
Yes,
because it's probably around midnight around this time, and they have to do this by 6 a.m. So it's a very limited time
I liked
span.
this kind of ticking time bomb of
it's
this
great.
movie. I thought tying it to D-Day was really smart, because D-Day is kind of the battle everyone knows from World War II.
Yeah, it's something everyone knows. You don't need to explain.
We know the imagery. We know of, it's the storming of the beach. Like, we all know what that day is. And so I think by like factoring that in and having that, like, we need to do this or else Normandy doesn't happen, even though we know how, it could be an alternate history movie, but we know Normandy happens. Even even so, it's cool to kind of have that like kind of familiar thing in our heads as like, oh shit, they have to make Normandy happen. They have to make sure so it adds a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and they see from the attic the Nazi captain who's in charge of this village, Waffner. Yeah. And that's our boy Euron Greyjoy. And he's just executing people. He shoots a woman in the street.
God, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's scary in this.
And
we won't talk about Game of Thrones too much, but Euron Greyjoy in the books is a very scary character.
From
I think
what we have of him so far,
he's kind of an enigma, but he is so scary.
He's a monster.
He's like Ramsay level.
He's past
monster.
Ramsay.
I think, yeah.
Maybe.
I think, oh man, they could have done so much with him. But the show did not do him justice. However, I don't think that's Pilu, if that's how you say his name, Pilu Azbek's fault. I think he did a great job with what he was given. He has even
said, I wish there were more of the stuff from Euron in the book in the show. Because Euron he's like supernatural. He's like trying to turn himself into a god in the books.
Pretty
and
much.
He'll probably be the one who takes down the wall in the books, not a Night King with an ice dragon.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, goddamn, so much. But anyway, and we see that this actor had all of that potential. Like, he could have given us
by the end of this, he's
character.
A Nazi monster.
Yeah.
It's
and
like,
you can
wow.
see why they cast him, and you can see like that potential for that character was in him the whole. I just got upset.
Became a
I just
horny
got
pirate.
upset watching this, thinking like they didn't let him do what he could have done. I think he got so shafted by that show, and I'm like angry on his behalf. I think he's a very good actor. I think anything with that character that people don't like is not his fault. God. Whatever. I guess he got a gig.
He got a I'm sure very well paying gig. So
right. He says something about the tar in the ground of this village having some kind of power. We don't really know what that means.
It's kind of almost like a MacGuffin. It's
a
like
little bit.
Like
I think it's used.
It's definitely sure. It's used. It's not. It's such a weird thing. Like there's tar in the ground, and we can use it to make zombies, essentially.
Oh, also another Game of Thrones cast member, because he rolls up to this house and is in this scene now too, is Harry Strickland, who is the Captain General of the Golden Company. Also completely misused on the show. Yep. I have a lot of thoughts about it. But nice to see Harry Strickland. He's played Nazis in a bunch of stuff.
He's got a very severe face. I know that Boyce heads out on his own at one point. Does Waffner come in to the house before that?
Yes, because that's when he hears a noise upstairs, remember? Because Paul drops a baseball, because they're all just up in this attic, and that's when Euron comes in, and Euron is talking to Chloe and is like, hey, we had an agreement. They clearly have this quote-unquote agreement where he's sleeping with her, and you know,
in exchange for not murdering
them,
probably.
Really cool. Good trade-off. That's when Harry Strickland comes in. He calls in Harry Strickland, and they hear a noise upstairs because Paul, that baseball he's playing with, falls. And then I love Paul. They go upstairs, and before they can get all the way upstairs where they can see like all these Americans hiding in the attic.
Or I think at that point it's just Boyce, because I think Chase and Tibbet went to go check out the church or whatever.
Got it. I see. So before they can see that there's anyone else in the attic, you just see Paul at the top of the stairs who pretends he's just up there playing with this baseball by himself. And so he tosses the baseball to Harry Strickland, and Harry spits on it and throws it back. And he doesn't bother to check the rest of the fucking attic. He just goes back downstairs and is like, some kid, so whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they all roll out. This is when Waffner starts to he goes to rape Chloe.
And they're watching Boyce and Ford are watching from the attic, down through the cracks.
And this is one of those moments where you have Ford, who is trying to get Boyce to not intervene, don't go down there, don't give us away, but Boyce wants to stop this from happening.
Mm-hmm.
Boyce, it seems, gets out of Ford's grip and just butts urine on the head with a gun. And
yeah, he saves Chloe from this bad stuff, and now it's like, well, now we have a Nazi officer who we gotta.
Ford punches him in the face because at this point, fuck it, I get he knows we're here. Then this is when Boyce leaves because he's got to go get the other
Tibbet and Chase.
Yes, he's got to get
sent
Tibbet
go
and
get
Chase
them.
back, and this is when he sneaks up to the church, and this is when he sees a cart of bodies being put. They're alive. They're like alive, sick people, kind of like this aunt upstairs that we catch a glimpse of, and it's a jump scare. But he sees all these. They almost have I'm trying to describe how they look.
They're kind of bubbly skin.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's pretty gross.
Then he sees the Nazi doctor as well. We get our first glimpse of him, just really
Need a Nazi doctor.
banal looking dude as expected. And then we watch them just torch flamethrower these people. Yep.
Then some Nazi dogs show up and chase Boyce. Nazi dogs are so sad.
I know.
Because they were good boys, but now they're Nazi dogs.
They're bad.
They're always, what are those, German Shepherds?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Or Rottweilers are associated too with the Reich. Yeah.
Yeah. But they chase Boyce, and he escapes them by hopping in the back of a truck that's driving away, and then he realizes, oh shit, this truck's full of dead bodies.
Yeah, and I'm being brought into the church.
Yep.
Whoops.
Kind of works, though. He just hides within the bodies and is able to infiltrate the church that way. And he's walking around and he sees, Nazi experiment stuff.
Yeah, I wrote no surprises here because he's just walking around. There's bodies getting wheeled around. We're hearing screaming, and it's like what you'd expect.
We get a keyhole scare.
Yeah.
Classic keyhole jump scare when he's looking through in one of these locked little rooms with sick people, and then whoa, a thing pops up in front of the eye hole that he's looking through. So yeah, he's seeing this museum of horrors.
Yeah, it's when he sees the Nazi doctor examining one of them, and he's taking notes, and he says, "Oh, ausgezeichnet," which is it's excellent.
Oh, yeah. Chelsea was able to translate some of the just
I like
random
they
German
didn't
in there,
have subtitles for the Germans most of this
which
movie.
makes sense because Boyce wouldn't understand them.
Yeah.
So
I like that. Yeah, if you feel a bit more alienated.
Yeah. He finds bags hanging up, pouches, these nasty looking pouches in a room that reminded me of Shape of Water.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
It looks like the lab in Shape of Water.
Yeah, just like that grungy, dingy lab. The mid-century technology everywhere, just kind of dirty and wet, and
everything's wet. I wrote that he walks into a very drippy room.
It's very
everything's
drippy
and wet looking.
It's gross.
Yeah,
and he unzips this pouch a little bit, and just the nastiest liquid you can imagine just starts pouring out of it.
But there's also a person in there.
Yeah, there's a wet ghoul in there.
He's got a mask on, and he is asking for help. So what the
But that scares Boyce away, and he's it's kind of just he's running into all these things that scare him, including he uncovers a woman's severed head asking for help.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was really creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a head with a spinal column kind of coming out of it, and she's asking for help. It's creepy.
It's oh, this is a horror movie. That's right.
Yeah, and that's when he finds this room where there's all these syringes in it filled with blood, or is it just
serum? Yeah, it's just a thick reddish serum.
So he takes one and puts it in his pocket, which risky because
Yeah,
it's
dude.
needled down into his pocket, and I'm surprised he didn't get stabbed with it while he's trying to escape. But yeah, then he finds Jacob. We find Rosenfeld, his buddy from earlier,
who was on the plane and hadn't been seen since, but because he got so much time on that plane, we knew he'd pop back up.
When are we gonna see him again?
Yeah, and Rosenfeld's got this hose in his side.
Oh,
he's on
this
a workbench.
is so gross.
And yeah, when he frees him, he yanks out this hose, and I thought the hole would be the entire diameter of the hose, and that it would just fucking kill him.
That's what I thought.
But no,
too.
there's it's a big needle
Yeah.
at the end of this hose. But yeah, he pulls out this hose, and needle comes out of Rosenfeld's side.
And they also they see on the other side of the room, they see I think the doctor inject another person with something, and then they just put that dude in an oven.
Oh,
Or it's a storage thing, maybe.
Yeah, it looks like an oven though.
But I think it's a storage thing,
like a morgue.
Yeah,
body
that is
storage
what
thing.
It could, you know what I'm thinking, because they're in the church. It could just be catacombs or something.
At one point here, he does see Or no, he sees the severed head, and does he see a body get injected and come back to life? Is that the body that they...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he sees that happen with the serum, is that they inject a corpse that comes back to life. Mm-hmm. He sees reanimation.
Yeah.
Herbert West would be proud.
Oh, he would be. So Boyce gets back to the house with Jacob now, and he says, like, I've got this syringe.
Yeah, they escape through tunnels that come out.
These little sewers.
Yeah, so he's able to like kick out a sewer grate in the church, and then they make their way through the sewers and come back out. So now they know a way to get back into the church that doesn't involve like scaling a wall or getting shot at.
Yeah. I love the Americans are back at the house, and Paul is sitting next to Tibbet and doing, it's like that scene in Jaws with
the imitation.
With Roy Scheider and his kid. It's exactly that. You have Paul imitating, and it's really
cute. And Chase is like taking pictures of them because Tibbet and Chase are back by time Boyce gets back with Rosenfeld.
So they're questioning Waffner at this point, and he's trying to really both sides this whole thing. Like, they're basically just telling him what an asshole he is and trying to get information from him, and Waffner says something like, oh, surely your corporal has killed many as well. And then he's saying, oh, the people we take to this church, we give them purpose and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's the classic wartime uncomfortable torture scene because they like hang him up and Boyce is like, no, can we not like be them? But Ford, of course, is of the mindset that you got to get dirty to fuck with dirty people, I guess. And so they string up Waffner and beat the shit out of him.
I didn't mind. I wasn't mad.
I'm such a pacifist. I don't like violence.
I mean, but I like seeing that conflict.
Yeah, it's a great conflict.
I like
in
having
movies like this for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Of like, how low do you go?
How do you deal with? Yeah, exactly. Like, how do you deal with such evil? Like, what's what makes sense to do? Do you stoop to that level? Do you? It sucks.
It's a forever moral question that'll always be relevant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I liked watching him punch Euron though. Euron takes a good punch. He's good at it. He was even doing that thing. Like, I feel like every character he plays is doing that thing where he gets punched and he's smiling and he's all
smiling
bloody.
Like bloody, yeah, for sure.
It's a good look for him. But they all decide they're gonna use Waffner as a distraction because he's so injured, and they're gonna like kind of cart him out and be like, "Hey, we've got your guy,"
something like that,
so that other people can get to the radio tower. And so Chase goes upstairs to untie Waffner, and he thinks he's dead, and I thought he was dead too. I was like, oh shit, they just punched him so bad they killed him.
Because he's got a bag over his head and his body's limp. Like, he unties him and his body just collapses to the ground.
Right.
So yeah, maybe he's dead.
Yeah, so I thought it was like, oh shit, what do we do now? But no.
Nope.
Waffner goes
fucking like leg sweeps him down.
He kicks him, and then he gets a hold of, I think, Chase's gun and shoots Chase like
2 or 3 times in the chest.
Yeah, it's right in the chest. So Chase dies, and then
But I really love Waffner still has the bag over his head. So when, like, I think Boyce is the one who comes upstairs, maybe Ford, but one of them comes upstairs. And so Waffner, like, hears them come upstairs and is just shooting wildly because he still has the bag over his head. It's a really good scene
it's
of
just
like,
it's just pure
dodging bullets.
Pure chaos.
There's so many good scenes of, like, suspense and danger in this. It's great.
Yeah. I think, like, the action and stuff is really well choreographed in this. Because I'm someone who, like, I'll get bored with action sequences if they're not super tight. Like, I just don't have the attention span for them.
To watch people get punched for 20 minutes.
Yeah. I will say, like, the end of this, I was drifting a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it was just kind of a long action sequence and...
Of people throwing each other and like that. The weird flying through the air kind of where, like, they're probably on cables.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. But, so Chase is dead, and that's when Boyce, who's already showed everyone this syringe that he snuck back, is looking at it, and we're just going, oh, fuck, no. Boyce, no, honey, don't. Do not fuck with Nazi science. Like, you just don't. I don't care if you think it's going to bring your friend back to life. It's Nazi science. You just don't.
It's Nazi science, man.
Yeah,
but he does it.
Yeah, he injects Chase, and Chase sits back up, and it's just really thirsty.
Also, though, there is like Chase's dying scene is
it's good.
Yeah, it's good and sad because he's like,
is.
"I'll be okay, right?"
And they're
just
saying,
like looking at each other.
you'll be fine. We're not gonna let you die. And again, it's a scene where you see it so often in war movies, but it always gets me.
It always gets me, man.
Those are some of the best scenes in Outlander, weirdly, because the main character in that is a nurse, and so she knows how to.
She does that a lot, then.
Yeah, because she travels back in time, but she originally was a nurse in World War II, and so she knows how to talk to people as they're dying, and she's still caring for them, even though she knows it's not going to save them. But those are like some of her best scenes where she's like distracting them by being like, "Tell me a story about your family or something." And yeah, so that always kind of gets me. So Chase sits back up, and he's just really thirsty at first, and so I think for maybe 15 seconds this all's great.
Yeah,
our friend is back. He's just really thirsty. So yeah, that's what the serum does. It makes you thirsty, but it also makes you insanely strong because he goes to grab, I think maybe a canteen or something.
Like,
he just
crushes the canteen with his bare hands, and then his veins start popping.
And he's saying,
out.
"Oh, I'm really hot," and he's ripping off his clothes because he's so hot, and he can't. Yeah, his veins are all popping out, and then he's just so. It was like weirdly, it was like the perfection where it was like my head. It's just I'm so hot and my head hurts. He just smashes his head up against a support beam and
just breaks it.
Wow, that support beam just.
Everyone's like, dude, shut the fuck up. There are Nazis out there.
Yeah. So Chase angry. This was like some interesting CGI where he goes to do something.
He like throws his head back and just snaps his head.
Yeah, he's in so much pain that his head, he like kind of like tosses his head back, but he's so strong that he snaps his own neck.
Yeah, and his head is just like hanging backwards.
Yeah, and so you can see like his throat and neck bones sticking up, and then he's able to snap his head back up because now he's essentially immortal is what happened.
Basically. I think it seems to follow standard zombie rules. You got to kill the brain to stop them because like every time they take torso shots, it doesn't stop them. And he is eventually stopped by the man who couldn't kill a mouse, Boyce, who like just fucking bashes his brains open with I think the handle of a gun.
Yep, more glimpses of the real Euron Greyjoy here. We've got like Nazi Euron grabbing Paul and running away with him and escaping with Paul.
Oh yeah, during all this, he steals the kid and runs away.
Yeah, because everyone's all distracted by this fucking freak of nature that's up in this attic. And so Euron grabs Paul and is like cackling and takes this kid. It's scary.
Yeah, because Ford goes down to shoot him and he like just waves the kid in front of his body
like,
and is like, ha, 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 ha.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's so creepy. So now, yeah, we have the dilemma. Boyce wants to save this little kid, but Ford, Kurt Russell's kid, wants to take care of the mission, right? That's like their ultimate that's their dynamic and that's their conflict in this. Both viewpoints fair, because as you're watching the movie and obviously Boyce is our main character and we want to save Paul because Paul is we like, but yeah, he's adorable and we care about him. But then you also have to, as much as that you can get, you find yourself being annoyed with Ford, but then you think like
big picture.
This is, so many people die if they don't do this. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. Yeah.
And the other thing is Boyce not only wants to save Paul, but also destroy the experiments going on.
Yes.
He wants that to be a priority of the mission.
Yeah. So now there's all this stuff added on top of what would have not been a simple mission, but they had like their one thing to do, and now there's a bunch of other stuff that we were putting on top of it.
So while they're escaping, while Wafner's escaping, Ford like shoots him in the mouth, and it's like tears open his face and really disfigures him. It's kind of like Jackson in Leatherface.
Yeah, I was thinking like Two-Face kind of, because you can see all his teeth.
Yeah, it's like a real bad situation for him. It completely mangles him, and that's why when he gets back to the church and radio tower, he's just like holding his face and pushing everyone away.
Oh my god!
Until he gets to
grabbing all that serum, and the doctor's like, "That's unstable."
Like,
also,
we haven't done this on living people yet.
Yeah, but he doesn't care. He's injecting himself with that stuff and more than one vial of that stuff, and we saw what one did. So what is more than one gonna do?
Yeah.
And I'm very excited at that point.
Gonna have super Euron.
Yeah. Oh
fucking
my god.
Sticking it in his thigh meat.
So they ultimately they come up with a plan where they can feasibly maybe like accomplish everything on their checklist.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Save the kid, destroy the experiments, and destroy the radio tower.
Yeah. So Chloe acts as a distraction, and Harry Strickland like chases her down in one of those classic World War II bikes with the sidecar.
The sidecar.
Yeah.
I always think of, for some reason, I think of Peabody and Mr. Is it Mr. Sherman and Peabody, or is it Mr. Peabody and Sherman?
I think it's Mr.
I feel like
Peabody
they drive
Sherman.
around in one of those.
Do they?
I think so, yeah.
Maybe when they go back in time to World War II.
Maybe. But yeah, he catches up with her, but she punches him in the face, and then he gets cornered by all the Americans who just like nail him in the head with the end of a gun. I don't even want to say what type of gun. I'm not.
It's a rifle, I
Is
think. It's not a handgun, so it's a rifle.
Then we cut and we're at the churchyard, and Harry Strickland he pulls up on his motorcycle, but his mouth is taped shut, and he's taped to the handles of the...
So this is their plan. He's like driving up to the fortress in the church, and the Nazis inside are like, oh hey, it's our buddy Harry Strickland, open the gates. And they open it, and he's like and drives right in. I have a little bit of an issue with this because like I get that his mouth is taped and his hands are taped to the handlebars, but what is compelling him to go along with the plan of driving this cart into the gate and then like stopping right when he's inside?
But like, what else is he gonna do?
Like not drive into
you
their
think he
base
should
with
just
explosives?
drive into the woods and like just blow himself up?
Yeah, something like that. Like I don't know. Yeah, I just want to know if maybe I'm missing something that they did.
I mean, to be
force
fair,
him.
we did only watch this once, so I don't
Yeah,
know if
so
there's
maybe I
something
missed
in that
something.
scene that we're missing.
But he does drive right into the gate, and they're like, dude, we can't understand you. You have duct tape. Here, let us take care of that for you. And he's like, no. And they rip off the tape and reveal that there's a grenade in his mouth, and the pin was attached to the tape. And so when they take off the tape, it pulls out the pin, and he's like, and in the sidecar, whole bunch of explosives.
Yep. So there's a big old explosion. It's a good explosion.
It's good. It's a fun scene.
Yeah.
And then the Rosenfeld and Tibbet start opening fire on the Nazis. You got Rosenfeld with this big old machine gun. I don't know if it's a PKG or something. And maybe Tibbet has a M1 Garand. Maybe he's like sharpshooting with a rifle. I've played some World War II video games.
I have no idea.
Battlefield
you could just be
1942.
saying letters and numbers, and I'd be like,
switched my
that
loadout
sounds right.
between riflemen and machine gunners.
Yeah. Basically, part of their plan is to kind of play it like there's a bunch of Americans shooting at them, because they even say we need to get this done before the Germans figure out there's just two dudes in the woods shooting at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they take out a whole bunch of Nazis during their shooting. And it's those two are like running around. We keep cutting back to them. And it's fun to see those two together, like covering each other and helping each other out. It's good. And I guess, spoilers, they both survive.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect them to. And I'm so glad that they let them live. Because,
yeah, me too.
You know, in a movie like this, it'd be easy to be like, okay, we're going to kill everyone one by one until it's just the main character. But fucking Rosenfeld and Tibbet get to live.
Rosenfeld especially. I'm like, wow, you live.
Yeah, dude. That guy was a red shirt if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, because he's like the friend in the beginning, and we get attached right away, and then we find him in this fucking lab, and I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna save him, but something's gonna be weird.
Yeah.
You know, he turns into a mutant or something, but no, he's fine.
They both survive in the end, and that's
Yeah.
really nice to see. It's a nice little rare, like, positive note to end a movie on.
I had that in my notes too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So while they're doing that distraction, Ford and Boyce and Chloe sneak in through the sewers that they had found earlier and are able to infiltrate the church, and Chloe just goes and saves her brother right away. And I think Boyce goes with her, maybe.
No, I think they let her run. They were like, she was always going to go save her brother first.
But they need to take down this radio tower. So Ford is going to rig up his explosives while Chloe and Paul, when she finds him, they have just a little like horror movie aside with a random reanimated monster guy. There's like a scene where they knock out a Nazi who's like laying on the ground, and then you see him get like yanked away off screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By whatever was in that cell, pretty much.
And she's able to get Paul to escape through the sewers, and that kid runs out. He ends up joining with Tibbet and Rosenfeld because Tibbet really risks his life to go like help out this kid who's standing right in the middle of a bunch of crossfire.
He's running and screaming. And
Yeah.
Oh no, you could have. Maybe go around.
Yeah, maybe don't run out into the middle of the firefight.
Yeah.
But Chloe has to fend off this monster and ends up fucking flamethrower
Yeah,
in
she
him.
does. Very shades of the Thing.
Very McCready.
I liked it a lot. I liked seeing her with the flamethrower. It was nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, that was the one instance where I wasn't mad at the drop the weapon kind of trope.
It's a heavy ass
I was
thing.
about to say, like, that thing, I thought at first, I'm like, no, she's leaving the flamethrower. Oh, it's probably really heavy.
Yeah, I had the same thought because she torches
It's
it and then
really
drops
heavy.
it and runs. I'm like, but oh no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You gotta run.
Meanwhile, so Waffner finds Ford trying to set up all his explosives. He takes him and drags him back to the lab and like puts him on a hook, Leatherface style.
Yeah, he just hooks him, dude, because he's a super soldier now after having injected himself.
Yeah.
And he's just scary, and he's all like, I think he gets a little bit of CGI monster face sometimes. He's creepy.
Yeah, for sure. Then at the same time, I think the Nazi doctor finds Boyce, but Boyce just like stabs him with a scalpel.
It's a pretty quick death for Dr. Schmidt.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't need a glorified death because he is, I think, just supposed to be very banal and just like a regular dumpy looking dude. Which is, how often is it that the truly evil people just look like that guy? Pretty often.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think, is Euron injecting himself with more stuff right around here?
I don't know. Ford does. Ford.
That's right, because Ford manages to get himself off of this meat hook thing.
Yeah, he just,
and I think it's while Waffner is giving this big villain speech. And so, Ford gets himself off this hook, and then he injects himself with serum, and then we have a super serum fight, which, whatever. It wasn't my favorite part of this, but I kind of tend to like action sequences, especially like big set piece ones like this, where it takes up so much of the movie. Like, I don't know, it's not my favorite, but that's personal taste, I think.
Especially when these fights, like in this movie, have the people getting hit and then flying through the air in a very movie way where you know that they're on cables getting yanked back.
Yeah.
And it just seems so unrealistic the way they're flying through the air because it's kind of slow motion almost. And I guess it kind of looks cool, but I don't know. It's not for me.
Yeah, but also it's like, how do you do a fight like that where you have two people who are just jacked up on this?
That's true. I guess there is already a heightened realism to it because of the serum, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, during the big bad guy Nazi speech, Waffner says, that they were making the serum for the 1,000-Year Reich and that they had to distill the tar through the French villagers' bodies. It's a weird, home brewery type situation.
It is, yeah.
And that's what those pouches were with the gross people. Oh, it's nasty.
Yeah, it's real gross.
Yeah.
So right around here, this fight culminates in Ford kind of locks himself in this laboratory area and locks Boyce out because Boyce is back here too. And Boyce is like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I can still get you out of here and we can still blow the building up. And Ford says, no, because he's injected himself with that stuff. And he's saying, look, our side can't know this stuff is down here. I can't go with you because they can't see me pretty much because as soon as he gets back, he's going to be a giant medical experiment for the rest of his life. So he recognizes that this stuff is so powerful, our side shouldn't have it either. And they decide, they're going to just blow the whole thing up, Ford included.
Yeah, especially because Ford has been established as a person who's he's there for the military. He's there for the Americans to win. He's there for the mission. But even he recognizes, no, this is a step too far for even our side to have. No one should have this weird power of superhuman serum zombie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think Boyce shoots oxygen tank, some kind of gas canister.
Yeah.
And it's a big old explosion. Waffner winds up in the tar pit, in the well that goes down to the underground tar.
He's crawling back up, and he looks so gross.
Yeah, it's gross.
He's nasty looking.
But, this explosion goes off, and so it's crumbling, and we see a cool shot from outside of the hole. That's the end of that awesome one take, which is a great way to cap off this action sequence of Boyce trying to escape while this place is blowing up. And he's like running through these hallways, and he'll turn down one hallway, an explosion will happen. He's like, oh God. And he like turns around and runs. And it's all one long take. And I didn't even realize it until it was almost over.
Really
I was like,
well done,
oh shit, how long has this been going on for? Because it follows him all the way outside where he's safe and like back up to the front gate. And the end of this long one take, you see in the background the tower collapse. And it's just such a good way to end. It's like, cool, you see in this shot him escaping and their mission being fulfilled, like all in one shot. And I think it's a great kind of like bookend to the long take of him when he's falling out of the plane at the beginning with the mission starting. They're both like these long takes that are centered on Boyce, our main character, him surviving, chaos everywhere, just like the total craziness of it. And I just love that. Yeah, it's like the start and the end of the mission there.
Yeah.
It's very well directed.
It is, yeah. I think this something I really like about the direction, and something I like about the action sequences, even when, you know, some of the action stuff is like it's not for me, but I always kind of have a good sense of where everyone is. I get the layout of this building. So especially during that one take when he's leaving, I'm watching him and thinking, oh, this is where this happened and this is where this happened. And
yeah, you even see
cool.
the bodies of some of the people who were shot on the way in.
I liked that continuity where, because those bodies wouldn't disappear. It's not like a video game. So I think it's cool that the continuity applies to this shot where we're kind of like retracing back.
Yeah.
You know,
because like you see those people get shot on their way in, and then you see those bodies on the way out.
They're all still there. I think that's neat.
It's very well done. Yeah, Julius Avery.
Yeah.
Great direction. I think this was only his second feature. His IMDb has a
third.
Okay.
But
his IMDb has a bunch of shorts on it.
Yeah.
But I would love to see more from him because this is really good stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. So he escapes. That's when we find out that Tibbet is okay and Boyce is okay after because they both save Paul when Paul comes running back into town. And
I think Tibbet gets shot.
Tibbet does get shot, and I was very concerned for a little bit. But we see that he's fine. I did say like, oh, Boyce is okay too, but like he looks pretty dazed. Like, it's like, is everyone actually okay? Probably not. Yeah. Kind of thing. Because then you remember, oh no, they're all going to be just emotionally and mentally fucked up for life after this. But then
I think Chloe kills a few Nazis too.
Chloe definitely. Yeah, everyone gets to kill some Nazis in this. It's nice. This is when they find out. I love that I think Tibbet complains about this too. They're getting transferred to another company, and we both are like, what the fuck? Why wouldn't they just send them home? And then I think right after that, Tibbet was like, why aren't we just being sent home after all that?
Yeah, they're being transferred to like Charlie Company. You can still fight? Get back in there.
Jesus Christ, after all that? Thought they would just send us the fuck home.
Got a job to finish. Gotta get Tibbet to Hitler.
And then pop.
We all go home.
And then that's when Boyce talks to, I don't know who this would be, like, position-wise.
Commander, some officer.
And he asks him, like, well, what did you see down there? Like, was there anything else down there?
Should we dig through this rubble? There are rumors
of a kraut lab down there.
Yeah, kraut lab.
And Boyce says, nope. Nothing
down there.
Don't
just rumors.
Worry
Move
about
on.
it. Yeah.
No serum to find.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But yeah, I like this little ending in the where they're all kind of in the camp in the village, and you know, it was like a weirdly like happy, like it ended on like a nice note.
Yeah, especially because those side characters got to live. I think.
Yeah,
that's real nice.
I
find that the rap song that kicks in for the credits, I found that a little incongruent.
I didn't mind it.
Since it's so not of the time.
I didn't mind it that much.
Yeah, it's fine. It just I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like that's such a modern sounding song for this period piece. But the credits are cool and are like
I like the
World
credits.
War II.
Yeah.
Like
it's like the old style Universal logo where it's the black and white spinning, like actual globe spinning around and
it's kind of flickering footage.
Yeah, and so they have different things from the movie that are kind of spinning around and they look all old. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
I really enjoyed this movie.
It was a good movie, man.
I was definitely entertained. I think my only thing that I wasn't super keen on was the kind of third act action, but like I'm never super into that. It's why I can't get into superhero stuff, because that's what it's like always the third act is going to be your big, everyone's punching each other, and it's like I get bored.
I get bored too, but maybe less bored than you, but still pretty bored.
Yeah.
But this one was fine. We had Monster Euron.
Yeah, that yeah. Definitely that was the good outweighed the bad, I think.
And that one take at the end is
very
fucking
cool.
super cool too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're at all into war stuff, check this out.
This is equally a war movie. I would even maybe say war movie
first for sure.
It's alternate history.
Yeah,
but
especially like the first half before they get into the experiments going on inside the church. It's just classic, like, we're on a mission.
Yeah,
it's great. It's good stuff. Great acting all around. Great direction. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, cool.
You can follow Dead Meat on social media at Dead Meat James on Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm at Carebeck, CareBecc on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want merch, deadmeatstore.com.
And you can feel free to email any comments or feedback or what have you to deadmeatpod@gmail.com. And until next week, I'm James.
I'm Chelsea.
And this has been the Dead Meat Podcast.